Sagittarius, this is your week ahead astrology forecast by Astrology Motivation from Born Without Boundaries. In this video, every single week, we review the major planetary aspects and transits and how they impact your natal sun and what that means for your day-to-day. We're going to start out really broad with the big stuff that's impacting everybody, and then I'll focus it down into Sagittarius specific information, and then I'll break it down into the decans, which is a group of 10 degrees. Every zodiac sign has 3 of them, and that'll make it much more accurate as to how all of these energies or all the planets are going to be impacting your natal suns, because even though you're all Sagittarians, your natal suns are not all forming the same angles, right, to those different planets. So I'm going to tell you how it's impacting you specifically based on which decan your sun is in. Now, to enjoy this message, all you need is your birth date. But if you want your full natal chart, it's easy to get. Go grab it online. They're free, and you'll have it in a few seconds. Let's start large, okay? Sagittarius, this is actually a big week because we have a full moon at the end of the week on July 3rd in Capricorn. And it is in opposition to the sun, which all full moons are, but the sun conjunct Mercury. The sun is conjunct Mercury all week long. This full moon is also trine to Jupiter. So there's growth and expansion and blessed opportunities coming from some sort of revelation or light that shone upon any kind of hidden dynamic that has happened, especially in that Capricornian business, corporation kind of laws type of energy. Whereas over in Cancer, where the sun is and Mercury is, there's some sort of message that's coming through, something to help us grow, to nurture, but also to protect and defend, because you know that mama can get protective and defensive, you know. So this is a really spectacular full moon that I believe is going to reveal lots of shady dealings and stuff that doesn't work, or that stuff doesn't work and why it doesn't work. We also have the sun conjunct Mercury all week long, sextile to Jupiter. So the sun conjunct Mercury is sextile to Jupiter. The full moon is trine to Jupiter. This is a really beautiful thing that's going to help open up doors and opportunities for us. I think especially where maybe we weren't seen or discovered in our work. By the 1st, July 1st, remember to say rabbit, just in case. But by July 1st, we have Neptune going into retrograde. That'll make the 3rd outer planet going into retrograde. Neptune is going to join Saturn and Pluto all in retrograde, which is kind of normal for the summertime. But Neptune in retrograde actually concerns me the most because it's sort of like pulling back the veil. It doesn't shed its fantasy on us as much as we need. And so there is a lot of dependency or grabbing onto, insistence upon fantasy, or finding other kinds of medicines to help to lubricate those areas where we most need the buffer. So I think Neptune in retrograde can be a little bit troublesome because of the desperation it can cause in people. But I don't think that means that we're not gonna sorry about that guy, that we're not gonna see some major revelations that are coming, especially after Neptune has pulled back that veil and maybe, you know, disguises, manipulations, or delusions or illusions aren't as strong anymore. That's really interesting. So we have also Venus square Mars still all week long. It's still in Leo, and it's still intense, and it's heated and sexual. And honestly, I mean, you got to be starting something, right? You just got to take advantage of that energy. And even if you can't, there's a sense of maybe it's going to take advantage of you. I'm just saying, let you know. Let's double down, Sagittarius. I wanted to say Sun conjunct Mercury is also semi-square to Uranus and trine to Saturn all week. So semi-square to Uranus is frustrated by these feelings of maybe wanting to be different, or you are different and not willing to accept it, that kind of inner rebellion that wants to come out. But because of that trine to Saturn, there's a sense of it still wants to hold on to the status quo, or what's always been, or the way things have always been. So it will be interesting to see what the full moon and Neptune retrograde reveal. When it comes to Sagittarius topics, we have to look at, first of all, the zodiac sign of Sagittarius, what planets are in it. So there are no major planets or luminaries in Sagittarius at this time. But then we also always have to go to the ruling dignitary. And your ruling dignitary, lucky you, of course, is Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is very active this week. It is sextile to the Sun, conjunct Mercury all week, which is illumination in the brain space, the mind being able to finally be seen and known for your interesting ideas and exceptionality, exceptional communications, luck or good news or information coming in. It is also trine to the full moon, which we discussed, which means it's extremely active in sort of spreading this abundance or pushing things up, making it bigger or larger. So it's kind of enlarging that full moon or whatever it is it's trying to illuminate, but it's definitely time to just release and let go, because some beautiful opportunities will come from that. And then we also have Jupiter sextile Saturn still. And that is one of the most productive energies in the sky. This sense of we can do anything, we can get anything done. You have the discipline and tenacity of Saturn mixed with the expansion and adventurousness of Jupiter. There's nothing that combination can't make happen. So let's see how this impacts you specifically, Sagittarius. If you know that your natal sun is between 0 and 9 degrees Sagittarius, then it sits in the first decan of Sagittarius, which means you're Sagittarius 1. In terms of birthdays, this correlates to November Sagittarians. You would be the Sagittarians on the Scorpio cusp. So your birthdays would range anywhere from November 22nd, if indeed Sagittarius season started on the 22nd, the year that you were born. And sometimes it starts November 21st, right? So it would be from the beginning of Sagittarius season, 21st, 22nd, all the way through the 30th of November. This would be Sagittarius 1s. Your natal suns are in a long-term sextile to Pluto, and that's going to give you the energy of, I'm going to get it done, and people are going to take me seriously. It's a very formidable, but also reliable and trustworthy, powerful energy that will help you in all situations, because it'll just make your person have more gravity to you. And people will listen to you more. This could also be opportunities or opening up to a deeper sense of spirituality or understanding of the occult. We also have for this year that trine to Saturn, which means that we don't want to change things too much, but with the Pluto energy, it's almost like you can bring the change and find a way to make the change happen when it comes to rules and regulations and obligations. There is a long-term square to Neptune, which can make things a bit foggy. And with Neptune going into retrograde, it actually might help out a bit. But for this week, your natal suns are square to Mars, Venus, right? They're square to Mars, Venus all frickin' week. And that could mean some frustration when it comes to your romantic relationships or just sexual tension and frustration. We have a trine to Chiron, which is long-term, but really only if you're born around the 30th, 31st, or 1st of December, no, 1st of January. So basically end of the first decan, you would start to feel that trine to Chiron, which means healing and finding ways to heal trauma and finding ways to heal trauma by healing others. If that has become central in your life, it is because your natal suns are now trine to Chiron. But this week there can be some frustration, could be some good frustration when it comes to sexual energy, sexual tension. But we do have a semi-square to the full moon, which means there's kind of a stubbornness, or maybe trying to avoid any kind of revelation or any kind of upset or upstart to the norm, which is Capricorn. Not just the norm, but the establishment. or being so frustrated with them that you are called to action. There's also a quincunx to the sun conjunct Mercury. So there's major frustration that's going to happen to you. And I think it's happening to you to spur you into action and to incite a radical change inside of you and maybe help others change their situation too. You let me know in the comments below. Your natal suns are also sextile to Saturn, which brings in, no, I don't think that's correct. Oh, no, it's not correct. I was like, wait, that doesn't make sense. I was looking at that. It was from another one. Scratch that. It's not you guys. Let's go on to Sagittarius 2. So if you know that your natal suns are between 10 and 19 degrees Sagittarius, your Sagittarius 2s, this would correlate to, say, with December 1st through the 10th. So those, like the first 10 or 11 days of December. That would be you guys. Your natal suns are about 30 degrees of the full moon. Those of you at the very, very, very beginning edge are about 40 degrees from the full moon. Oh, what does that mean? No, about 35 degrees. So it's kind of frustrating. It's kind of blindsiding you. So I wouldn't be surprised that there are things that pop up that really either are happy or just surprises. And you could feel a great bit of frustration emotionally when it comes to this energy. You have a trine to Chiron. That's long term. It means there's healing through trauma teaching you lessons the hard way, but healing that and accepting it, learning from it, and trying to heal others. Also this week there is a quincunx to the sun conjunct Mercury, which means also frustrating energy, this sort of tension with whatever you're thinking or whatever's being brought to light, or some bright ideas by somebody else. It could just be frustration in communications, or somebody else's confidence in their communications. That could be really frustrating you too. Especially if you're born around the 9th or 10th of December, your natal suns are trine to Venus conjunct Mars. Like I said, especially if you're born around the, what is it? The 1st, or I'm sorry, especially if you're born around the 9th or 10th. So your natal suns are trine to Venus Mars. This could mean that there's tension that builds, but discussions are had, and there's a closeness, a coming together, a closeness when it comes to romance or sex, or becoming closer through sexual connection or attraction. So this is really beautiful energy. This week, also taking action on maybe beautifying yourself would be a good idea as well. Could also be some sort of financial action you're finally able to take. And then you have, if you're born, if you're born around the 1st or 2nd of December, so early in the second decan, your natal suns are creating a quincunx to Venus conjunct Mercury all week. And so for you, it would be a little bit different. There would be more frustration happening, or frustration involved. This is happening because the two of them are kind of between decans right now. So if you're at one or the other extreme, it's in fact the Venus Mars conjunction is affecting you in a very different way. The quincunx doesn't have to be bad. It could just mean tension building and a need for release, however you want to take that. Now, Sagittarius 3s, if you know your natal suns are somewhere between 20 and 29 degrees Sagittarius, you are Sagittarius 3s. This correlates to birthdays between the 11th and the 21st of December, or in and around there. Your natal suns have a long-term square. No. Your natal suns have a long-term trine to Chiron if you are born around the 12th or 13th. Same thing, catharsis and healing those past traumas, especially by helping other people heal as well. This week you have a quincunx to the sun conjunct Mercury, which, like I said, building that sexual frustration, sexual tension, and a trine to Venus conjunct Mars. If you are the 12th, 13th, 14th, you're going to experience this all week long. For those of you who aren't around the 13th, the 12th, 13th, 14th, later on, you'll experience it more toward the end of the week when Venus and Mars are more securely in the third decan of Leo. But for those of you who are born the 12th, 13th, 14th, all week long, you'll really be experiencing this trine to Venus conjunct Mars, which is really sexy energy, beautifying energy, beautiful energy, taking action, or finally being able to take some progressive financial action. So yeah, primarily Venus and Mars are affecting people born between the 9th and the 14th of this week. So it's between the two decans, but it's particularly your birthdays that are going to be trine to Venus conjunct Mars all week. Enjoy it. Let me know in the comments below how this energy is impacting you. Please remember to give this video a thumbs up and then subscribe to the channel so that you get all the wonderful updates here. And then come on over to Born Without Boundaries Tarot for your week ahead tarot card reading. Sagittarius, I'll see you there.